Today we are going to be diving into integrity. Have you ever found yourself falling out of integrity? Robbie and I are excited to dive deep into this. I know I certainly have. And yeah, I'm curious, Robbie, what does integrity mean to you?
Yeah, this is such a juicy topic and one that really resonates with me because there's been many moments in my life where I've been out of integrity. And there's been many moments when I've been in integrity. And the contrast between the two really highlights to me what integrity is. Because whenever I'm out of integrity, there's always a feeling of kind of like guilt or shame, or kind of like I can just feel that it's unaligned and it doesn't feel good to me. And then often there can be moments of wanting to hide or withhold, and that just feels not good. And then in the moment of integrity, there's a sense of like healthy pride. There's a sense of like, oh yeah, I've done what's true and right, and even if it's been hard, I can feel really aligned and good about that. And so for me, integrity, I see integrity as wholeness. I see integrity as like a vessel that has integrity is free from leaks, right?
Yeah.
So if a boat lacks integrity, it's not going to last too long. It's going to eventually sink. If a cup lacks integrity, it's not going to hold its full capacity. And so the same within the relationships that we carry, if we fall out of integrity and we don't patch that up, those leaks up, then over time that relationship will sink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
And yeah, I'm curious what your understanding and how you would define and talk about integrity.
Yeah, it is a beautiful topic, and I love how you framed it there. Yeah. For me, integrity is doing the right thing that's aligned with my higher self when nobody is watching. It's like knowing that regardless of who is around, be it nobody, be it myself, if I'm in nature, and it's like not picking an overabundance of chanterelle mushrooms when I'm picking, making it so that I have enough, but I'm also leaving for the seed of the mushroom and also for other people to enjoy as well. So for me, it's really, it's selfless. And I like the patching of the ship and the leaking analogy, because I feel like when we do have integrity, we are holding and have the ability and the capacity to hold to a greater amount. And yeah, I certainly relate to what you're sharing in that, like, in life, I feel like integrity is a line similar to perfection and perfect, like, balance. And I don't feel like I feel like we can get onto it and then we fall off. So it's a matter of coming into right relation. And when we do find ourselves not necessarily in integrity in an area, how do we navigate back to that place, right? It's not easy, and there's often, almost always, challenging conversations to be had in the process of bringing it back into right relation. So yeah, that's my understanding of it. And I'm curious, like, in your experience, current or past, are there any examples of where you've fallen out of integrity that you feel open to sharing here today?
Yeah. So one thing that before I go into that I want to touch on is the importance of integrity as something that creates safety and trust in ourselves. That when we can hold integrity, I've found that it creates a deeper sense of safety, trust, and confidence with ourselves and in our relationships. And often we slip out of integrity, I found, in those moments of fear, right? Where, maybe I feel insecure or unsafe. So rather than listening to, what, that's going to be okay, then I end up doing the thing that is out of integrity. So there's this direct relationship between safety, confidence, trust, and integrity, and also the flip side of out of integrity. So there's certainly been moments in my life where I have slipped out of integrity. and one has been in relationship, and in past relationships having leaky energy and having a sense of leaky energy around my sexuality, and seeing the effect that that can have over time, even in little ways, right? Just entertaining possible energies with someone, even if I know it's not going to go anywhere. Even engaging in porn, rather than taking that sexual energy to the container of my relationship. And how that leaky energy over time, it degrades from the intimacy, the trust, the safety, the confidence of the relationship. And in that, it also has an effect that's felt by our partners. Like, even if it's hidden, even if it's not told or spoken of, women specifically are extremely intuitive, and it's felt in the field. And they feel, like, from my experience, there's a felt sense of withholding that they can sense from us, and that breeds distrust. And it can kind of, what I've seen is it can kind of make a mountain out of a molehill, where it's sometimes not even that big of a deal if you just talk about it and you're just like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. Or like, I'm feeling attracted to this person, and I feel temptation to explore it, but I want to bring that to you, and I don't necessarily want to because I value our relationship.
Yeah.
That's what's alive for me. Or like, I find myself watching porn because I need connection, and I haven't known how to ask for it or how to engage in it in that way. And just like that being somehow really hard to do in the past, in those moments, right? Because of the fear.
That's beautiful that you brought fear into it, and the fear was what held you back. But in it, what did the fear create? How did that play out when you let the fear take over and you didn't have the conversation? How did it play out?
Right. It tends to, like, I love this term, like, what's mentionable is manageable. And when we don't mention it, it tends to then grow into something more and tends to escalate. So I found that in my relationships, when that would happen, it tended to build up more distrust and separation, and more, because those patterns for me were a result of me feeling like a fear of intimacy and a fear of opening myself. And then that intimacy created separation. That separation caused me to want to find those emotional needs and sexual needs met in other ways. And in that, it creates more of that distance and more of that emotional distance between me and my past partners. And in that distance, it then makes the problem worse, bigger. Right?
What I hear is that the fear, playing out and winning, if you will, creates the manifestation of whatever you're scared of, right? I'm afraid if I say this thing, it's going to, my partner's going to break up with me. Where, if you say it, you reconnect, and it allows for it to move. But if you don't say it, the fear wins and manifests into reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's wild.
100%. And I appreciate you hearing me, and I feel that you can hear me with such clarity because you've also experienced.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And I'm curious if you'd be open to sharing some of your experiences.
Yeah, there's many, and I witness myself fairly often kind of not falling off in ways that I used to fall off, which are bigger and more impactful. A really big one that took me a long time to transmute, and I still hold some energy around, is dishonesty, lying, not being honest with my past partners, my family, my children, and it was for fear of hurting them. And the dishonesty, played out, and the fear of it played out in hurting them, all of them. Past partners broke up with me for lying to them, and I hurt them. And it's, my effort in it was not to hurt them, it was to protect myself and protect them and maintain safety. But that was just an illusion. True safety is through authenticity and transparency, and both of those I was not embodying. And so I found that, in not being honest and not being good with my word, it created a shell of a person. And it really plays into inauthenticity And I was liked by a lot of people in that inauthentic state, but I was loved by no one, or very, very few, very surface level love. And now that I've really deepened and steeped in my authenticity, I feel that I'm loved by many, and I'm hated by a few too, right? And that's kind of hard to swallow, but it feels true, and it's like that's okay, because I'm gonna walk down the sidewalk however I feel like it, as long as I'm respectful. I'm gonna roll sometimes, or I'm gonna spin around in circles. Whatever I feel like doing in an authentic expression is how I'm gonna show up in my life, and that feels really pure and powerful to bring. And yeah, we also have in Circle, in meeting with men, a set of agreements and an agreement field, and it's a really powerful practice to bring broken agreements into right relationship. And I'm curious if you have anything to share around your experience in bringing broken agreements into right relationship.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing some of the ways that you felt have been a struggle and shadow of integrity. And honesty really resonates as well, because really honesty is being forthright about these things, right? And dishonesty is not always telling a lie. It can also, there can be this gray area of withholding. Right?
Omission.
Yeah, omission. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in an intimate relationship, omitting or withholding can feel similar to lying.
It's the same.
Yeah.
And not even an intimate relationship, all relationship. There are certain circumstances where the listener, for protection of safety of the person, you don't want to tell somebody, what's happening in your intimate relationship, or withholding is necessary for safety. But yeah, I really like to be open and an open book. Thanks for seeing me.
Yeah. And yeah, like how much as men our authentic self is so needed and desired in the world, and yet it's so vulnerable because there's that fear of rejection and the fear of what if I'm not accepted. And I love how you say you were liked by all but loved by few or none, and that's really the result, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of men end up being really lonely, and they may have a lot of acquaintances or friends, but they lack the deeper, meaningful, loving relationships, which when we really have those friendships and connections outside of our intimate relationship, it adds to the intimate relationship, because not all the intimacy emotionally is needing to be had from the partner. And it also ends up being that we don't need 20 really deep, meaningful friendships. Often a handful is nourishing and enough. And it's like you only have so much time to really nourish a deep friendship anyways. And so yeah, the authenticity as a pathway to deeper intimacy with ourselves, with our partners, and with our friends and our community, and the love that's born out of that, and the respect. And so, yeah, for me, the breaking of agreements, whether the agreement is explicit or inexplicit, sometimes we have agreements that we both know are present, and yet maybe they haven't been said, these are the guidelines to this relationship, whatever it may be. There's a feeling inside of when we know, for me, there's a feeling inside that I know it's been broken or dishonored, and it's a feeling of oh, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I don't need to talk about that. Maybe I'll just,
Under the rug.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always a sign that it's time to have a conversation. And for me, I like to sit with it and receive clarity and begin a process of doing my inner work and dialogue around what inspired the breaking of that agreement, and how can I own it on a deeper level than just feeling guilty or shameful or remorseful and apologizing, but instead hey, this agreement was broken because of this reason, and I saw inside of myself that I was holding back or I was afraid, and it expressed in this way that I'm not justifying. However, I'm looking at that deeper root because I really want to own it and transform it and transmute it, and I'm still in that process. And kind of like coming at it from that, especially if it's a deeper, if it's a little thing, maybe it's not as needed to take that much space, but it's always good to have that clarity, because when I've gone into it lacking clarity, then it creates more confusion for the person or the other people. Whereas when we can just be really clear, like, hey, this is where I fell out of line in my integrity, when I went back on my integrity, and I'm sorry, and I'm working on changing it, and I'm a human, and it may not happen right away, and I'm taking the steps. And that, for me, is really it, is having the hard conversation and coming from as empowered as a place as I can, rather than coming as like a victim energy of like, oh, I was powerless, and I'm sorry, but I'm also like not taking full responsibility. You know what I mean? Like, kind of, yeah. And
ownership, owning it.
Yeah, precisely. So I found that to be crucial, and then also taking the steps before, after that conversation.
To bring it to right relation.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I love how you articulate that, and sitting in it and steeping in it and reflecting and gaining some clarity before you bring it. I think that's wise. Sometimes it's not always possible, but it's great when we can do that. And then, articulating it in a way of ownership, not from a place of victimhood, is also wise and received, often well. And yeah, that's really beautiful and important. And thank you for sharing.
And something else I'll add to that you've helped me with too in moments is having a conversation with a friend, phone a friend. Be like, hey, I messed up.
Pick up a lifeline.
Yeah, I need to have a conversation. Can I decompress a little bit, or like take it apart with you, and kind of talk about it and help get clarity? Because being alone in it, often we need that psychic shared space and reflections from others. And that's really important, to have those connections and people to do that with as well. And then the other is, if we are bringing it to someone, especially in an intimate setting, is to prepare them. Not to just drop a bomb, but be like, hey, I have something that's vulnerable that I feel ashamed about, or whatever I feel, and this doesn't feel comfortable for me to share it, and do you have the space and capacity to hold me in this?
And even naming it. Without naming it, I feel like I'm out of integrity. It's beautiful. So yes, I mean, that's a full, I feel it's really necessary when we're ever bringing things to, in particular, a romantic partner, to make sure that we are not triggered, they are not triggered, two very key components, and then check in with space. Do you have space to hear something that might be challenging for you, or could be triggering for you? It really sets it up for success. And also speaking and mentioning the desired outcome of it. I want to share this with you so that we can connect deeper, right? In effort to have a deeper sense of intimacy with you after, so that in the future this doesn't happen. And the apology that I heard you say, you often will, or sometimes will say sorry, I feel it's a word. It's a nice word, but it's just a word, and you alluded to it after. It's with your plan of how you're going to bring it into right relation with your action, because an apology is just an apology. But an apology backed by action, that's the true apology. That's the truth in it, this is how I'm showing up, and not doing the thing that I did that threw me off of the line of integrity in the first place.
Yeah, like a true apology is ownership.
Ownership and correction of action. Bringing it into right relationship is the correction of that action.
Correcting the ship.
Righting the ship, exactly. Yeah.
And do you have anything else to add from your experiences of bringing something of this nature into right relationship within your life or relationships?
It's like, communication. Communication is so important and huge, and we've already touched on it. But that intuitive hit of, oh shit, I don't think that I should share this, is a compass pointing you right at the fact that you need to, not you and projecting it that way, but like that if it's happening to me, I need to share it, and leaning into the discomfort. because the fear of the actualization of whatever you're thinking is always worse than the event of actually doing it. You know, it's like things that I've been scared of after I've completed them, it's like, that really was not that bad. Not even a fraction of what I thought it was going to be. So getting out of the mind and into the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. It's such a good test too, right? Of just like, we want to be around people that meet us where we're at and have compassion and forgiveness for us as well, right? And so, yeah, when we share in that way, we recognize the nature of what the relationship is and what it can hold as well.
Can you say more on that?
Well, it's like, it's kind of like how I see it is like, there's the fear that like, oh, if I share my most vulnerable, authentic self and aspects of where I've perhaps fallen out of integrity, the fear is that, you know, it will degrade the relationship, or there will be rejection or judgment or shaming. And if we share in those ways and that's the result, then it's a bit of a litmus test, so to speak, for the relationship, right? And where the relationship's at, without finding fault in anyone else. Just how is that relationship? And if it's something that is a serious event or choice that's out of integrity, and we're honest and the relationship can't sustain it, then it's better to just see that for what it is, right? Rather than hide it out of fear, to be like, oh, I don't want to lose this relationship, so I'll keep this thing hidden. And then, you know, it's better to just come out with it and be like, how does the ship fare in this storm?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And if it sinks, then that's a lesson.
Yeah. And it illustrates clearly what you're saying, is that the ship was not meant to float. Which, like, there's one, in a romantic dynamic, there's three entities that I see. There's an individual, and the entity of the togetherness. And the togetherness is the ship. And if the ship is not meant to weather the storm, then it will sink. And just trusting that process, and as you said, extracting the lessons as best as we can, that's, you know, and not taking it personally, and just seeing it as, you know, this is a lesson on my path, right? Not becoming too attached to the togetherness of that relationship for this lifetime, for example. Impermanence is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's something I've really come to know and learn about integrity too, is that especially as men, we can strive for perfection and hold ourselves to a high standard as a masculine kind of almost goal setting of like this ideal image of ourselves. And integrity is often a piece of that, especially if we're on a path of consciousness and conscious relating. And in that, it can be hard to go through these steps, because if we're holding ourselves to such a high standard, then when we perceive ourselves as failing, so to speak, or making a mistake, then it's harder to own it, because there's like more pride on the line. And what I've found about integrity is that it's not about being in integrity 100% of the time. That's the goal. However, we're humans, and humans are going to make mistakes at times. And a part of integrity, part of being in integrity in our life, is knowing how to come back into right relation, which is the whole conversation.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so important. And fear is the compass, leaning in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's very, very on point. How do you come back into integrity? Yeah. This has been a really beautiful topic and great conversation. Yeah. And it's, you know, exciting to continue to explore what is alive in us and me and you in these podcasts. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate sharing this space with you and everyone who's listening.
Yeah, and me too. Yeah, deep gratitude, deep bows.